serve us so well. And again, thank you from our hearts. Another round of applause. Maria, you started out. Identify yourself.
Thank you, Bill. Good evening, everyone. I'm Maria Giesta. I'm the Ward 2 City Councilor here in New Bedford. Thank you. It really is a pleasure to be here tonight. Thank you, Buddy, for, again, organizing this event. I will say it's always nice to look out in the crowd and see friendly and happy faces, along with the happy and friendly faces of my colleagues. So I think it's really important to really put forward the wonderful job that the City Council does and how we represent not only the wards that we represent, but the city as a whole. It's great that we do have a great group of people. It's truly an honor for me to be working with a great group of men and women who truly take their jobs very seriously. I'm a public servant. I've been in service in government, God, I hate to admit it, for about 40 years. That's how old I am, so don't add any 20s to that. For me, public service is very important. It definitely demonstrates a connection between us and the community. And I wish that more people, more young people, would get into government service, because it is an honor to represent you, the constituency, on a lot of the work that we do. It may sound minimal, but those phone calls that we receive about the pothole, about the sidewalk, about a light, those are very important. Those are the people that we stay in touch with, that vote for us, that care about the city, and I truly believe that's the most important thing that we have in New Bedford, is that connection with community, the people that care about their neighborhoods, the people that care about their schools, the people that care about their streets, our police department, our fire department, EMS. These are the important issues before us every day in this city. So thank you very much for coming out here, and I'll pass it on to my colleague from Ward 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Maria. For those who don't know me, my name is Sean Oliver. I've had the privilege of serving as the Ward 3 City Councilor for the last almost 2 years now, winning in the special election that we had over the winter in 2022-2023, and then just completing my first full term. So it's been an honor to do so, and obviously I look to continue that work. Again, for those who don't know me, I was born and raised in the city of New Bedford. I've raised my family here in the city of New Bedford. I'm a son, a father, a brother, a grandfather, and somebody who's always cared deeply about his community. I've gone around this kind of twice. I've lived two lives. I had my first child at 17 years of age, and really had to hit the ground running, working hard, keeping my nose to the grindstone for every little thing or advantage that my family could achieve. I am happy to say now she's a thriving 23-year-old woman who is raising a child of her own. But I'm in round two. I have a 7-year-old son who is in the public school system now here in the city of New Bedford, and I had some real concerns as to what the city of New Bedford was going to look like for him. I was fortunate enough to have good leadership in my growing up, and I wanted to ensure that that was what was going to be left for our future. So that compelled me to get involved, and what better way than to be part of the New Bedford City Council and join the long list of prestigious councilors and people who have served before me who wanted to effect that same change. So my commitment has been the same since when I ran, and it's the same now. I will always strive to represent the people of Ward 3 in the best way possible. I'm not naive to the fact that my votes transcend further than Ward 3 and that they affect all of you in this room. So I do take that into consideration when I am going over a particular item or casting a particular vote. But my promise to you is that I will always be honest. You'll know where I stand on the issue. I will always be transparent. And I'll always look to engage the general public to the best of my ability to make sure that we are heading in the right direction for the city of New Bedford. So with that said, I'm not sure how many of you live in Ward 3, but if you do and or have friends in there, I ask you if you would be willing to have them take a look at my platform. You can find me on Facebook, just Google, search Sean Oliver, or you can visit my website at ward3nb.com. So thank you for the opportunity tonight, and thank you for Buddy and Phil for facilitating.
Good evening. I'm Derek Baptiste, Ward 4 City Councilor. Phil, thank you for having me here tonight. Buddy, thank you for all the work you do. First of all, I want to give a special shout out to the former Ward 4 City Councilor, Dana Rivera. She's sitting here in the audience as well. I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. I keep on running for this job. But 5 years ago, Dana decided not to run anymore because she felt like, she wanted a term limit, and that left a vacant space in Ward 4. It wasn't like I wanted to do politics. I did it. A couple of friends talked. A friend of mine, friend Mike, talked to me and just told me about all the things that I've done within the community over the past 20 years or so. And he thought it was a natural progression for me to take a step. And I always complained about what was going on in the city and not knowing why these things happen, why things go on, and the processes of them. So I decided to throw my hat in the ring to be a part of the city council. Lucky enough, I got voted in, and you learn so many things as you come into council, and then so many pressures come to you as well when you get this position. And you have your ups and downs, peaks and valleys. I've had a lot of valleys, but a lot of peaks as well. I think serving the community that I was raised in is one of the biggest blessings that I've had thus far. My mother and my family come from South Street, grew up in Bay Village, moved up West End, so I have ties all over the city, and especially in my ward. I've never not lived in Ward 4. I've never not lived in Ward 4. I've never not been a part of everything transpiring in this area. So, I haven't reached all my constituents yet. I haven't empowered everybody I can yet. I haven't reached my zenith yet as a city councilman. And I think that I have so much to grow with and so much to offer. I'm just in a different space right now than I was 5 years ago, than I was 2 years ago. And feeling as a different man right now. And when you get to a space of clarity and understanding your purpose, because I didn't really understand as I was going on if this was my real purpose, if this was my true purpose too. And then, you start learning that you're here to serve people. You're here to do good for others. You're here to lift others up. You're here to find out ways to make sure your community's safe, make sure that you can help people. So in my next term, I want to answer all the calls. I want to give as many answers to people that I can, whether it's good or bad. I want to work with other community leaders that are in this room. Shantae, Buddy, not just in my ward, but around the city. Because I just don't have family in Ward 4, and just don't live in Ward 4. I'm all around, I'm all over the place. But it's a grateful thing to be here today. It's a grateful thing to wake up this morning by God's good grace. And serving the people of Ward 4. So I plan on working my hardest. I don't think that I've reached 100% of working my hardest yet, and I know I got a lot more left in the tank. So thank you for having me, and hope everything goes well tonight. Vote for me when it comes time to vote. Just because I'm not running against anybody, please go up and vote. The problem that we have in our community is that we don't vote enough, especially in Ward 4. We have an issue with not voting enough, and we have an issue with having low voting ratings in the city, right? And we're not heard enough because we don't vote enough. And even if you don't live in Ward 4, vote throughout the city, because we're not getting enough from the state, because we don't vote enough and they don't think that our votes matter. So don't think that because somebody's running unopposed, I don't have to go vote, or this don't mean anything to me. You have to go vote, right? That is your right to vote, but it helps everything that we do in this city in making sure that we're known throughout the state that New Bedford's a voting city. So we have to pay attention, because if people don't think they're getting votes, people ain't gonna care about you, and we're gonna get left behind. So with that said, thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Renee Fernandez, and I am the newbie at the table tonight. I am not an incumbent sitting in here. This is my first foray into New Bedford politics. I am a transplant to the city of New Bedford. I am not a native. I was born and raised in Marion, Massachusetts. I spent 30 years of my life in the town of Wareham, where I served as selectman there, assessor, clerk treasurer of the fire district, on the prudential committee, a whole lot of things. When I decided to run for the position, I thought, everybody in New Bedford knows me. I thought, they know me because I've been your treasurer collector in New Bedford for 15 years. What I came to find out as I was going door to door and talking to people really didn't know who I was at all. The only time you would know your treasurer collector was if you had a tax issue, you needed to make a payment. Other than that, maybe you might have seen me on cable TV in front of City Council, but you really didn't know who I was. 3 years ago, I left the city of New Bedford and I went to work for the town of Middleborough. It was a very lateral position. It was another treasurer collector position. I was feeling a little bit disillusioned about New Bedford. I felt that where I came from in the past, we had very representational government, and in New Bedford I always felt stilted, that people didn't have a voice. You know, people didn't have a voice in the council chamber. They didn't have a voice if your counselor didn't call you back. It wasn't working for me. So I went to work for the town of Middleborough, where it was representational town government that I was accustomed to, where you went to town meeting and your voice mattered. You know, you voted your budget, you had your say, and I was loving it while I was there. And I thought 3 years ago that I was going to move from the city of New Bedford, and it would be all done. But it is 3 years later, and I am still in the same place that I've lived for the last 12 years. And I'm still very much involved in everything going on in the city of New Bedford and how all of that affects me. You know, the budget, you know, just the whole culture of the city is very impactful to me. So my reasons to run for this position is really about giving people a voice. It's about letting people know that what they say is important and what needs to be done is important. Letting people know that they're going to be heard, and everything that they say is going to be considered. Okay? It's really funny because for me, everything sort of comes full circle and I congratulate Marcus back there talking about being the first Gen Z person, and I feel like, here am I, on the heels of retiring. Why am I running for city council, you know? But For me, when I really think about it, it's like coming full circle. You know, coming full circle from the world of politics in a small town, bringing it all around to the world of politics in the city where I now live, the city that I call home. And that's what's important to me. Okay, so as we go forward, I'm interested in talking about the hard things that I don't think people talk about. I want to talk about the budget. I want to talk about the hard things that are impacting the budget. I want to talk about things like term limits. I want to talk about revenue sources, and I want to make sure everybody's paying their fair share of revenue into our coffers. I mean, those are the things that I want to talk about. You know, I'm not afraid to ask the hard questions. I'm not standing here today because I need the job, I need the paycheck, I need the pension, I need the health insurance. I don't need any of that. So I'm not afraid to piss anybody off, quite frankly. And that's why I'm here, so thank you very much.
Buddy, would you like to have each candidate with a question? All right. To make this fair, I'm going to ask the candidates. Would you like to have a question from the audience to each of you? Or do you want to answer the same question? That was decisive, huh? Let's start with questions for our counselors. Yes.
Can you just remind everyone what ward you're running for?
Yeah.
I'm in Ward 2. I am the sitting Ward 2 City Councilor.
Sean Oliver, Ward 3 City Councilor.
Baptiste, Ward 4, City Council.
RNA Hernandez, Ward 5.
Yes, by all means.
So my question, so the school committee and the city councilors need to work together in order to pass our school budget. So when the school budget gets passed, it's presented to us by the superintendent along with our assistant superintendent of finance and operations. It's presented to us at a net school spending. So for those who don't understand, net school spending is the bare minimum that we are saying we need in order to educate our children in the city of Bedford. How do you see yourself working with school committee members to make sure that we pass a budget that funds our schools at bare minimum? How do you see, how can we collaborate, how can we work together so that we're not getting the mayor who does a different number that puts forward and then city council cuts it even more?
Well, I think that's a great question, and you know, I was elected in 2017, and I can honestly say that I really have never sat down with anyone from the school committee. We've never honestly had a conversation, and I think it is important, but you know, we're here to work with anyone and everyone that needs it or approaches us about the mayor's budget. It's not an easy choice for us to cut the budget, but that's part of our job because unfortunately we can't add to the budget. I mean, I think people need to understand that. We cannot add to the mayor's budget. I would love to add as much money as possible to the Department of, you know, to the education, to the school committees. You know, it is important because I've been very lucky enough to have a great education. You know, from primary school to junior high and high school. New Bedford High, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the best high schools that we have. I was lucky to go to what is now UMass Dartmouth, which when I was there, you know, during the dinosaurs was at SMU. So we would love to work. I know I would. I think it is important for every elected official to work together. And I would like to see more of that. The good news is that, and as you know, whenever the superintendent comes before us, we can always restore the budget. money to the different departments, which is really good news. It's not just about cutting, it's making sure that everyone is being properly budgeted, and I think we do a pretty good job of saving the taxpayers a lot of money at the end of the day. But yeah, I personally would love to sit down with the members of the school committee, because I think it's important, very, very important to do that.
Yeah. Well, I think the question was, how would the school committee and the city council work together to meet, or at least balance, minimum spending for net school spending? It's more or less the question. So, as my colleague said, I'm not opposed to working with anyone, especially other branches of government, other elected officials. Aside from maybe some events or a couple of phone calls here or there, the only time that the city council and the school committee kind of get in the same room is during the budget time, when the budget is presented. So yeah, that all works both ways. The council is, I'm sure, welcome to the school committee, and the school committee welcome to the council. I think we also, I know as city council, we have a fiduciary duty to the ratepayers of the city of New Bedford. Now, that duty doesn't supersede the responsibility that we have to meet school spending and to make sure that our students have the best possible education. A lot of times when the budgets are made, they are made pretty spot on for the school department, but they are at times a best guess as to what type of funding we're going to be getting back from the state. At that time, if that number hasn't come in, and we aren't aware of what the solid number is, that's all it is a guess. As my colleague said, we cannot add money, we cannot take money back from the budget, from the school department, when once that budget has been approved. If the numbers came back higher, there's normally a surplus of money, which is normally a good thing, but it's also meaning that the ratepayers have overpaid. So I think you saw something a little different this year. I can't speak on the behalf of the administration, but from the city council standpoint was, yes, we did cut the school budget, and when the numbers came back from the state, and it was hard numbers that we could say, hey, that money does have to be reappropriated, we do. So I think that's a good step to make sure that we are spending correctly and we are not overcharging the ratepayers at the same time. So, thank you.
I don't want to beat a dead horse because my colleagues already answered the question, but I think proper communication, like we'll see each other out, but we never talk about business and how we can help each other to do things. And I think that's where it stops. Like, honestly, like, we can go through the budget and see what the funding is and reallocate funds or take something away and give something back. But it's always been the school committee does their own thing, city council does their own thing, everybody does their own thing. And we forget that we're all working together for the same people. And we don't have the communication that's proper so that we can work together. So if you do have issues, how can we talk? So that when we're funding things, we can actually fund it correctly and by what you need, right? I think some of the things that, as a council, when you see funding coming in, you see a lot of the money going into different departments in the school department and different people getting jobs in different areas of the school department, which is, getting a lot of money and it's not being given to the kids. It's not being given at the school. It's taken away from teachers' ability to teach and to be creative with their students, right? And we're losing that. But it starts with all of us, right? It don't just start with the budget, it starts with communication before the budget. How do we communicate about things that are not happening in the school that we can help with? What do you see different than what we see? Because we don't see a lot of things on your end, and you don't see a lot of things on our end. And how do we work together to make something in that gray area go a little bit forward? So I think that proper communication, not just saying hi and just because we know each other, and we talk about little things, like really have hard conversations of what can be done, how can we help, and what really can be done and what really is gonna be tough to get done. You understand what I'm saying? So hopefully proper communication in the future can go a lot further, instead of saying we're up over here doing our thing, you're up over here doing your thing, and we're not pushing this together. I think that between us, your committee, the mayor, like there's like 3 separate pots, and we forget that we got 100,000 people in the city that we all work to take care of, right? And we got a lot of people from school-age kids all the way to the elderly that we have to take care of. If we're not all on the same page, nothing's gonna get done correctly. So I think, like he said, it goes both ways. Like, it's not how much we can do, it's how much if we don't know anything, we can't help with anything. So if we talk more and we're having more conversations, more things can get done. So that's what I think. Thank you.
So, if I'm not mistaken, net school spending is the formula that DESE, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, does every year to determine how much a city should be paying to educate each child. And I believe in New Bedford, that number is probably in the low $20,000 per student, which is one of the lowest numbers in the Commonwealth. We have not met net school spending in a very long time. And I think the problem is way beyond just the school budget, okay? The problem starts with the budget as a whole. The problem starts with a $500 million budget, which I think, in my mind, needs to be unraveled, absolutely, all the way down. And I think that then we need to start allocating where money needs to go, which is education for our children, one of the very most important things, public safety, and then it trickles down from there. So, and I agree with you. We have issues with net school spending. Yes.
Yes, go right ahead. Loudly, please. And could we shorten the answers?
So I
We don't have time for that. We're learning. Next week, we will have the time.
Resident Ward 5, I've lived here for about 6 years, and a short 6 years, but significant 6 years I've lived here. I've come to learn that this community is very much divided. There's a lot of silos here between the wards. There's a lack of, it's not a community because there is a community. There is disconnect. There is lack of transparency. There is lack of communication. I just helped Ward 1 battle and win a fight against a major project that would come into the community and it impacted all of the wards, not just Ward 1. And yet there was so much silence that it is unacceptable. So my question is for city councilors, what have you done or not done to bridge those gaps and close those divides? And if you haven't, what are you going to do differently to do that? And if you're a new candidate, what are you going to do to do that?
So it's the newbie, I'll start. So one of the things that I see, and I absolutely agree with you, is that I think that there needs to be more collaboration between the city council and the administration. To me, that is huge. Now, I worked for John Mitchell for 10 years. We didn't always get along, but I respect a lot of what he's trying to do in the city. I really believe that there needs to be more visioning in the city of New Bedford in terms of what is best for the entire city. I think that the council, the administration all need to sit at a table on a regular basis and decide what's important and then decide what we're going to work toward together collaboratively. I mean, and then I think that we can all answer your question that we got something done together. And that's the only way that's going to happen.
I don't want to sound disrespectful, but I think a lot of people, I think a lot of people need to get their heads out their asses. That's first and foremost. I think that the problem with New Bedford is not, I know you haven't lived here for many years, but that's been the problem with New Bedford since I've been a kid, right? Everybody only cares about their neighborhood, everybody cares about their ward, everybody cares about what they have going on, and I don't think that we do enough to show our faces in different places to show that we do support other people. And I think that's where it starts, right? Being able for other people in other places to see your face. And I think that you can't bridge a gap without a start somewhere. I think it's been so broken. Like, I look at my ward, it's broken between South End and West End. Like, it's tough for me to bridge a gap for Ward 6 and Ward 4 if I can't even get the South End and West End to be cool with each other. You understand? And we're all Cape Verdeans, and a lot of us all come from the same neighborhood. And our families all come from the same neighborhood, and we got the same issues. Like, so I think that ego has to get taken out of a lot of things. And I think that it takes time, but as far as counselors getting together, it's just being there for other people's projects and things going on, so people throughout the city can see you, not only in your ward and your functions in your ward where you're comfortable, but be uncomfortable and go to other things, go to other cultural events. A lot of people don't go to different cultural events, right? A lot of people don't see themselves being in places where it's not beneficial for them. You understand? So it's like, that's what we have to stop with things like that. And then we have to stop within our own ward and try to find the problems that we have with each other. Because a lot of us in here don't see eye to eye. Like, a lot of people in here don't see eye to eye right now. And like, how do we get past that, right? Because if we can't get past seeing eye to eye with each other, how can we help everybody else as a whole? It's just, you know, we don't have to agree with it. We don't have to agree with everything. We don't have to agree with everything, but we have to respect each other. So that's it.
Yeah, so that's definitely a difficult thing to navigate, right? We do tend to be guarded, right? Tend to protect our families, our own first. But it's about getting people to step out of comfort zones, to come to things like this, to provide those avenues through promoting neighborhood meetings, as my colleague said, going to different events from the south end to the north end. Especially as ward councilors, not just staying within your ward. As I said, I'm not blinded by the fact that my votes count from the north end to the south end, and I take those things into consideration. But that's the biggest thing is, as a councilor, your willingness to be open to everyone. I don't just take calls or concerns or go to events that are in my ward. If I can make it to different things, I try to be there, whether it's with the schools, something in Ward 1 or something in Ward 4 or 2 or 6. You have to make yourself accessible as a counselor, and you have to be approachable. People have to be able to feel comfortable coming up to you, and I think that's another thing that we need to work on, is just that openness, that willingness to serve, not just saying that we're going to serve, but actually putting those into action and showing the community that we really are divided. We're a little bit more than what happens in those council chambers, and we only hear the good or bad on the radio or in the newspapers or online. But we're not as divided as we think. There is a lot of good that happens in that room with my colleagues and councils before us. But that's the biggest thing, is just putting yourself out there, making sure that you are attending these things, and then just don't keep to yourself. Meet everybody in the room that is in there with you, and really putting yourself out there. So that would be the approach for any sitting councilor or anybody looking to be a councilor.
Well, I will say this. I think overall, we all work very well together. There are going to be differences of opinion. Yes, the ward councilors do represent a certain section of the city, and the at-larges, as it is at-large, represents the whole city. We are very lucky, and unfortunately, Council President Shane Burgo just stepped away before I was going to say some nice things about him. We're very lucky of having a council president who knows how to navigate the city council in the sense of what's coming up on the agenda, reaching out to us. He also meets with the mayor on a regular basis, and you know, we all may have different relationships with each other, but I think in the end we all respect each other, our differences and our similarities, and I think that's what's great about the city council that we have. As a ward councilor, you are going to navigate more to your area, but I live in the North End, and so I have Ward 1 and Ward 3, right? And then we have the other wards that go from downtown to the South End. But in the end, we all work very well together. We're going to have our differences of opinion, and that's the beauty of the United States of America. And as government employees ourselves, we do, I think, a great job in representing New Bedford, not only our wards, but the city as a whole. And I'm very lucky with my, council colleagues here. They're great people. We work very hard. I think people forget how hard we do work because, as the councilor from Ward 3 said, we just don't go to events in our ward. We're out there throughout the whole ward, the whole city. So I think we do a very good job, and I think we represent the city very, very well. Thank you.
Another question. Yes, by all means. Dana, is that you?
Yes,
Okay.
hi.
Yes.
So I'm lucky enough, I adopted a dog, I walk all over the city, pretty much 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Every day I have a conversation with a different person. This question is more, so when I return, I can answer them. So council is a check and balance in the city, and many people that I talk to feel like the individual wards don't get money, but there's always money for downtown, specifically a small part of downtown. So I know you all represent different wards. Maria, I've worked with you. I know I haven't worked with the others, like how pliable you are. But what is the plan for you guys to work together to figure out how you can pull money out of that and bring it into your own individual wards? I'd like to give a specific example so everyone knows what I'm talking about. BID, Business Industrial District. Recently, the mayor gave $180,000 to AHA. The person in charge of AHA is very, very, very keen on BID. She recently moved here, bought some businesses. Now she's in charge of $180,000. Part of her duties is to manage downtown. I don't know what that means. And the BID, from my experience, living the time I spent in Los Angeles, where it started there in Santa Monica, it was horrible for small businesses and communities. And it's poison in a well, it seeps out. So this would be like a great sort of example of what you all can do to work together, to put something together to erase the possibility of that ever becoming legislation, and working not only to help Ward 4, but to also, that would also in turn help the other wards as well.
Well, that one is another one that's tough to navigate because, it's a lot of times you hear that the mantra of a healthy and vibrant downtown is going to resonate throughout the city. And sometimes you really don't see that the focus stays there and it doesn't go past, Cogswell Street sometimes. The beaches might get some attention for all of our, beauties in that nature, the downtown obviously, but north of Cogswell Street, it's a tough go. That's why one of the reasons why when the Dias Field project came up, that even as a candidate, that I was pretty adamant about something like that, even though it's not something for business. Ward 3 is one of the only wards that doesn't have an actual parking. So bringing things like that are going to bring activity into different areas of the ward. As ward councilors, that is one of our main goals, is to represent the ward, keep money local, or get businesses to open up there. It is tough when there's an administration that the mantra is the healthy and vibrant downtown and focus on the downtown. But I know myself, I'll toot my colleague from Ward 2's horn for her. We're staunch advocates of money going elsewhere, money going past Cogswell Street. There's not a whole heck of a lot that we can do to actually pull those dollars to physically put them into projects, other than advocate for certain projects, partner with different groups, and get that communication back to the mayor. Also, some of it is, it goes to, the council doesn't get along with the mayor, but when we stop some certain things, either by tabling them or having long thought out discussions about them, it is in an effort to try to claw back some money for other things in other parts of the city. This council that I've had the honor of serving for the last 2 years is not a rubber stamp for the mayor. Most of the stuff that are coming down from before downtown, you are getting a lot of pushback from your current ward councilors to try to advocate for different projects throughout the city. So I would just say that as the Ward 3 City Councilor, I myself will continue to advocate for that.
Can I ask anybody to shorten their answers down, please? And the questions too. Shorten the questions down, shorten the answers down. We got plenty of time. I'm trying to use it wisely.
I'll be very brief, buddy. Very brief.
I don't have a problem. This phone gets all the money.
You know what? And I do have a problem, and you all know that, right? Because I was the person that actually was the one that found out about the bid in Marco Leandri and his doings and what's going on, and I'm the one that put that one forward. So I understand what's going on. Devin, don't kill me right now. So we'll talk about downtown. But the problem that I have with being the Ward 4 councilor is not enough money gets allocated into the neighborhoods, and most of the money gets allocated to downtown. And a lot of people think that I don't like downtown because I like downtown, I represent downtown. The problem is I represent Ward 4 as well. And not everybody south of downtown or west of downtown, a little north of downtown, gets the same attention. The streets don't get the same attention, the sidewalks don't get the same attention. We want businesses to thrive downtown. We want things to thrive downtown, which is great, right? But keep on putting money into one spot, and then you go 2 blocks over, and there's no money put into it. The streets are bad on Purchase and Pleasant Street. Things are bad going up Elm Street after you go past the bus terminal. Like, we're having issues all throughout the ward, and I've been fighting tooth and nail to get money not just kicked into downtown, but pushed around the city. As far as AHA, Kim reached out to Shane and myself, and we're going to talk about what her vision is and what she sees for it and how it's going to expand throughout more of just downtown. I think the problem that I have, it sucks because I represent the South and West End who really don't frequent downtown. A lot of people in my ward don't frequent downtown. They can't afford to go downtown, and they can't afford to bring their families downtown. And it's hard to get them represented and get money for them and do things throughout the ward when you know that money's getting poured in downtown and a lot of the people that actually live in the ward don't get to frequent it. So that's my issue, and that's why I think that more money should be spread, not just throughout Ward 4, but throughout the city. I know Maria can go on for days about this, but you know, I love to see it flourish down here, and I hope more than just 4 people can get paid downtown and own every building downtown and spread the wealth through everybody else so that everybody else can eat as well.
Well, Dana, a great question, and I can tell you right now that I could probably go on for about an hour of how disappointing it is that the focus is always about downtown. And trust me, we need a strong and vibrant downtown. But I represent an area of the city from Coggeshall Street all the way close to Tarkin Hill, down to Belleville Avenue, and up to Church Street. Acushnet Avenue probably has more restaurants than Union Street. I can also tell you that most restaurants downtown, you know, we support the downtown area. It's a great area. Of course, you need a strong and vibrant downtown. Nobody is denying that. What I don't like is believing that the rest of the city is not important for the economic makeup of the city. We bring a lot of revenue. Ward 2 contributes a lot to the city. And when I go to the mayor and I ask for anything, it's always a pushback. Now remember, my colleagues, I believe the city got $84 million in ARPA funds. And the mayor came to us and asked us to please list, you know, projects or items in your ward that you thought it was important. I don't think I got one thing. And I have businesses like Danny's Seafood, Barasso's Hardware, that's been in the city for over 100 years. Foco Jewelers, that's been around for 100 years. And all the other restaurants. And the only thing they asked for was for the facade, replace their windows. And the answers were no. So again, I understand how important downtown is, but so is the rest of the city. And we need to make sure that everyone, every ward is respected in the same manner. Because unfortunately, we get pushed back and we get called names and we get called like, oh, she's not cooperating. That's not the case. I will continue to fight for Ward 2 every day and get the respect that it needs. Just like my colleagues here. Ward 3, Ward 4, except for Union's downtown, sorry. And Ward 5, right? We all want respect. We're all here to work together, and I'm very lucky again to have great colleagues. But other people need to step up, and they need to make those phone calls, because we're all important and we all need to work together. Acushnet Avenue is a great place. Please come up to the north end. You'll love it. Thank you.
I'm going to be really quick. So I live in Ward 5, and I really can't speak to a lot of what they're talking about right now, but what I can say to you in terms of Ward 5, for me it's important that Ward 5 be a clean and safe neighborhood. It's very important that it abuts the downtown area, so probably the first places that people see when they're leaving downtown, maybe Ward 5. If there were things in Ward 5 that we needed to improve upon, certainly I would be there advocating for all of those things to our mayor and whoever else I would need to advocate for. But as it is right now, I certainly have a lot of empathy for what's going on in these other wards. I've heard it before, I've actually seen it. So I think that we can all work together to probably try and make a change.
more question. Are all of you all set on the answers? Do you want to? We will give you a chance to wrap things up. Another question, the last one? Yes.
My first question was about specifically the ICE raids and schools and stuff. In April, we had a pretty dreadful kidnapping of a man, Juan Francisco Mendez. He was taken out of his car, his window smashed. And aside from the horror of that situation, being taken in front of a loved one, my first thought was, this dude's window just got wrecked. Like, how are they going to drive this car? You know, that's a massive financial burden. And in fact, the New Bedford Light then put out an article about how these ICE raids are stealing the incomes of a lot of these disadvantaged and undocumented, or at least not currently properly situated immigrants. All Juan Francisco Mendez did was attempt to get his asylum claim validated, and it was taking a long time. How are we going to help these people through these financial times? Is there a system set in place from the city to actually like aid them in this time? And if not, when are we going to see that?
As far as I know, I'm not aware of any city assistance. I may be wrong. It is an unfortunate reality that we are dealing with, not only in our city, but throughout the country. I will say this, as someone who worked in the federal government for almost 30 years, and now at the city level, and I don't mean this disrespectfully or trying to brush it under the table, or it's really not under our jurisdiction, and I don't mean that we really can't get involved in that issue. And I will say this, the federal government has failed us at many levels. And I don't care if you're a Republican, a Democrat, conservative, liberal. I would say probably from Ronald Reagan until now, the federal government has failed us, and failed us when it comes to the immigration issue, which is a very difficult issue going on in this country, and has been going on for 20 or 30 or 40 years. I really don't have the answers. I don't think, you know, I'm an immigrant myself. I came to this country when I was 3 years old. My grandmother, my paternal grandmother, was born in the United States in 1904, but went back. My father and his siblings were born there, and luckily he had an American mother and therefore could come to the United States, and I'm proud of both. I'm proud of being an immigrant, and I'm proud of being an American. It was a very difficult time, and I really don't have the answers of what we can do at the city level. I really don't know. Luckily, there are programs and organizations that can help with that. And I hope that maybe people in the audience are aware of those organizations. But it is a tough issue to deal with. And as an immigrant and as an American, I wish I had the right answer, or just an answer of what we're going to do and how we should be respectful to people who are human beings, period.
Yeah, this one, there's no, the New Bedford City Council isn't going to fix immigration. And I'm not saying that as, we shouldn't do anything, but deferring city funds or using city funds to assist may put us in further predicaments with either the federal government and in some instances maybe even the state. But our immigration system is broken. And like I said, the New Bedford City Council is not going to fix that. Those are your folks within the federal government. We need to compel them to work on real immigration reform. Now, I might say something here that might be controversial, and that's fine. What's happening right now is ICE is rolling around the city of New Bedford with, imposing their will, which is they're legally able to do so. They supersede New Bedford Police Department. But I think that there needs to be a little bit more collaboration. And I'm not saying that New Bedford Police Department help and assist and find these people or anything like that. But I think that there should be some sort of liaison that we could have that would work with them, that knows the community, that knows the area, so that these folks are not just going around willy-nilly or appear to be rogue, where they can utilize the New Bedford Police Department liaison to say, hey, listen, this is what's going on in this neighborhood. These folks are just coming in and basically just breaking the silence of these neighborhoods. And the police department, at least with the communication piece, not a physical use of force, can help in making sure that incidents, like you said, that escalated to that level, don't. Thank you.
The sad part is that, like Maria says, like it's out of our hands as a city council because of the federal agent. Do I think the raids are right? I think the raids are bullshit. I think that imposing on people's human rights is not the way to go, right? I've worked in the field, and Celeste can attest to this, how hard it is for people to get their visas renewed, how hard it is for people to get, the immigration system ain't like it used to be. It ain't like how the process used to be, right? And now you have people more afraid of going through the process, right? Because now they don't want to be flagged and get picked up before the process even starts. I've worked with guys that didn't have work visas that were that were expired, right? And they was on hold for like a year to get their visa, and they had lawyers, and we had to help them work and find a job. So I think that it's all fractured up and down. I think that understanding what services that we have out here, understanding the programs that we have out here that could assist them, trying to find out how they can get grant money in order for them to run their programs, and also encouraging you to talk to your state legislator. That's a question that you have Tony Cabral and Chris Hendricks and all these guys come down here and ask them how are they fixing stuff. Montana, how are they fixing stuff up in Boston, and getting their friends involved, right? Because that's more of them issue than us. What we can do is find all the services that's in the city, and when you have questions on where you can find services, nature services. I think that's the most we can do, and then support people. Be there to support morally, be there to support with ourselves at the places and events, and keep on understanding what's going on. And I don't know everything about it, but I can learn, right? So I'm not going to sit up here and act like I know everything, but if somebody wants to teach me more, I can learn more so I can give more information out. That's all I can do. Thank you.
This is a tough one, and I think we can all get on our soapbox on this one. The actions of ICE are dehumanizing and deplorable. I have to think back to the fact, as Maria was saying earlier, like my grandparents came over to this country as immigrants from Cape Verde. My grandfather came on a ship into Providence, Rhode Island, and I can only imagine that being, 20-something years old, not knowing the language, not knowing where you're going, not having a place to live, not having a job. I can't even imagine what that could be like. But I have to know, because I'm standing here today, that somebody helped him. Somebody stepped forward and helped him maneuver how to make it in the United States of America. Okay? And how to become a citizen, how to raise a family, how to get a job, how to buy a home, how to, raise your children, have your children go to college. I mean, it's a whole cycle, and it's really what being an American is all about. So I really think, in my mind, I I totally denounce what ICE is doing. And in my mind, we're all immigrants. We are all immigrants in this country. Unless you're a Native American in this country, you are an immigrant in this country. And our job is to pay it forward.
Big folks, a nice round of applause for our public service. I'm sorry. Absolutely.
1 minute.
Renee?
All right, thank you, everyone. It was really a pleasure being here before you this evening. I really hope that you would consider me as your Ward 5 counselor. I'm looking at coming into this thing with fresh ideas, fresh perspective. Like I said earlier, I'm not afraid to ask hard questions. You know, I'm going to hold everybody's feet to the fire. If I don't understand something, I'm going to understand it so that I can explain it to you and you can understand it. Okay? I think this is a process that we all have to go through together. And if we're going to make city government work, that's the way that it has to be. All right? So thank you very much.
My name is Derek Baptiste. I'm running for Ward 4 City Council. For re-election for Ward 4 City Council. We always come up here and talk about what our goals are. My goal for the next term is to be more transparent and more open, to hear what people have to say. Not just listen to, not just of what I think has to happen, but be more transparent in talking to the people that live in the community and see what they want. Talk to the business owners more and see what they want, see what I can do more for them. Talk to former councilors as well. You know, we have a strong history of Ward 4 councilors in our area, and they all happen to be here, right? And so to lean on them and to make sure that we're all doing the same thing. Lean on people in the community to see what they need and how I can support. Like, I'm not running this race this year, and it's not about me, it's about what everybody else needs in my community and trying to serve them to the best that I can. And that's my goal. It's quite simple. If I know the answer, I'm going to give it to you. If I don't, I'm going to find out. If I can do it, it will happen. And if I can't, I'll try. And that's all I can give. So, thank you.
Again, I'm Sean Oliver. I'm the current Ward 3 City Councilor. I'm running for re-election. Again, as I said in my opening, you know, since I launched my campaign last term, I've always strived to be transparent, open for communication, always accessible, and as honest as possible, and as upfront as possible. You'll know where I stand on everything. We're not going to agree all the time. We go down the aisle with folks and say I do till death do us part. We don't agree with those people all the time. But what I can assure you is that I'm going to show up, I'm going to do the work, be as informed as I can be on the issues, try to represent the people of Ward 3 and the city of New Bedford to the best of my ability. I hope that you would give me that opportunity to do it again. If you live in Ward 3, I humbly ask for your vote. If you know somebody who lives in Ward 3, I would hope that you would ask them to give them my vote in November. So thank you for the opportunity, and bring a friend or a relative with you to the polls. It's very important. It's going to be huge for community engagement. Drag somebody to the polls with you. I ask you. Thank you very much again for the opportunity.
Again, I'm Maria Giesta, the Ward 2 City Councilor. Unfortunately, I do have an opponent, and he did not come here tonight. If you know anyone who lives in Ward 2, please let them know that I am running for re-election, and it would be an honor for me again to represent not only the ward but the city as a whole. It's been truly an honor being on the New Bedford City Council, representing an area that is very important for the city as a whole. It's a great honor to serve with some great people on the City Council. I will say this, overall, we have a great relationship. And what's great about being on the New Bedford City Council is that you can agree to disagree. And that's very important, not only in life, but in government. that in the end, we all will work together. You may not agree on the same issues or how to accomplish something, but we respect each other and we'll work together. And you know, don't believe all the hype that you may hear out there. We do work very hard for our constituency and for the city as a whole. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the most important thing in government. It's not about us, it's about you. So please, if you live in Ward 2, please vote for me. Or if you have family or friends or anyone that you know, please tell them about me. And they can reach me, you know, via email, cell phone, whatever they like. I am very accessible. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you all so very, very much. God bless.
Can we bring that last spoke on? As everybody's leaving and coming on and all that, I want to take